The Islanders' effort is lacking in a 3-2 loss to the Dallas Stars. We have our key takeaways from this game, including why it was a microcosm of the Islanders' season. We have our weekly farm report and a lot more, all coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Gil Martin, glad to be with you as always as we talk Islanders hockey. And thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to talk about on the show, feel free to send us an email at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave first name and where you're from, we are happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You can also follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnIsles, and you follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. And I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So please make sure you check in. I'll give you some instant insight and analysis, and it's always great to talk and interact with fans during Islander games and really anytime. So please feel free to contact me on Twitter whenever you get the chance. Disappointing performance for the New York Islanders. They lose a game to the Dallas Stars in Dallas 3-2. But I got to tell you, this game was not as close as the score indicates. It wasn't even remotely as close. And I think the shots on goal totals are much more indicative of the way the play went for most of the game than the score. Okay, Islanders lose 3-2. And you think, all right, we're in the game till the closing seconds. Couldn't have been that bad. But shots on goal, Dallas 40 and the Islanders 21. And realistically, until the Islanders kind of poured it on the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, it was all Dallas Stars. The Islanders not having an easy time getting the puck out of their own zone. Almost all of the game spent in the Islander zone. And when the Islanders did put the puck into the offensive zone, they just didn't have it. I mean, they would predominantly using a dump and chase kind of a system, but, you know, they would dump the puck in and the Stars would just get out 1, 2, 3. And the Islanders, again, you know, hardly any real quality scoring chances in this game until final few minutes. And you look at the final shots on goal total, and so many players that the Islanders are counting on to come up big and provide offense, not getting it done. Matthew Barzal, 1 shot on goal. He was a -2. Anders Lee, 1 shot on goal. Zach Parise, 1 shot on goal. Anders Lee, Anthony Beauvillier, rather, no shots on goal. These are guys that the Islanders are counting on to provide enough offense for this team to get the job done. And realistically, they just aren't doing it. And yeah, J.G. Pageau coming off the hat trick from the last game, played well, had a beautiful goal that got the Islanders their first score of the game midway through the first period, picked up the puck from Noah Dobson, picked up a lot of speed in the neutral zone and got the job done, barely getting the puck under the crossbar to tie it at 1-1. And then Brock Nelson still going for that 40-goal mark, picked up his 33rd. Dobson again the assist. But other than those 2 goals, the Islanders just not getting enough pressure on the Dallas Stars. And yeah, you give credit to Dallas. They played well in their own zone. But from an Islanders perspective, you got to create more. And again, Keith Bellows not playing in this game. I am starting to question why. They got to find room for this kid to get him in there. Not that his absence would have solved the problem, but again, I want to see more adjustments in game. You see that dump and chase isn't working. So skate the puck in or change your forecheck, change your strategy. The reason that this game was very much like the Islanders season in microcosm was that you got off to a slow start, just like the Islanders did this season when COVID hit and they went through the 0-8-3 November into early December stretch. You come on late, but it's not going to be enough. And when the Islanders come away with no points in this game, it's just a big, big disappointment. And again, Semyon Varlamov, who was the third star of the week last week, played well. 37 saves when you're facing 40 shots. 37 saves for Varley. And he could have sued his teammates for non-support because they really didn't give him any support throughout the course of this game. He has got to do better. They've got to play better hockey in front of him if they want to have a chance to win hockey games. Too many times in this game, the Islanders in their own zone, standing around while the Stars skated circles around them. And look, I know Dallas is a desperate team. Dallas needs these points more than the Islanders do because I think Dallas has a realistic chance of making the playoffs while the Islanders are holding on by the skin of their teeth to a mathematical chance. But at the same time, you can't be that passive in your own zone, and you can't be dominated the way the Islanders were dominated. So it just didn't work. They did not get the job done. The failure to adjust. Yeah, the last 5 minutes, they finally got some pressure, finally spent some time in the Dallas zone. But for the first 54, 55 minutes of this game, you would have thought the ice was tilted because the Islanders just could not get anything going. And it was frustrating as anything to watch this team flounder when they had played so well over the last 4 games, and you would have thought, okay, yeah, this team is doing the right thing, heading in the right direction. The momentum that they gathered up from that 4-game winning streak kind of dismantled because this team came out flat in this game. And I mean, what did they have? 12 shots, 13 shots through 40 minutes of this game. Not going to get the job done. Good teams, they'll get 14 shots in a period with some kind of regularity. The Islanders did not do that. And as a result, they pay the price. Losing to Dallas to start this road trip. And hopefully the Islanders can bounce back in their next game, which will be Friday. We have got a lot more to get to on today's show. We'll have our farm report as we talk all things Bridgeport Islanders as the Islanders, Bridgeport, going for their hopes to make the playoffs as they fight for that last playoff spot. We've got that. We've got our Islanders birthday of the day and a lot more still to come on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And look, it's all about convenience with HelloFresh. Not only do the ingredients come pre-portioned, so you're not overbuying or wasting food, but it's easier than ever to get filling meals on the table in a snap with options like family-friendly or quick and easy recipes. And you can pick your favorites from 50 different weekly options You could skip weeks when you need to, change your delivery date, or update your preferences, all in the HelloFresh app. I've tried this stuff. It was delivered to my door, and boy, I tell you, the food is good, it's healthy, it's fresh, and you don't waste food using this. It just is convenient, easy, and reasonably priced. So go to HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 and use code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 and use code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts from HelloFresh. All right, time for our weekly farm report. And, we were talking about how the Bridgeport Islanders were making that playoff run. And they were doing oh so well. They had a 4-game win streak, 7-game point streak. Well, this past week, it all sort of fell apart for the Bridgeport Islanders. They had a big game Saturday against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, the team they were fighting for that last playoff spot. And it was 2-1 in favor of Bridgeport after the first period, but the bottom fell out after that. 5 second period goals scored by Wilkes-Barre Scranton and 8 unanswered goals. Final score, the Penguins 9 and the Bridgeport Islanders 2. That was certainly a disappointment. Then you go into the Sunday game where the Islanders faced the Hershey Bears, and it went to overtime. The Islanders did get a point, but they end up falling 4-3 on the road. 9 different Islanders had a point. Kyle McLean, Jeff Kubiak, and Chris Terry got the goals. Corey Schneider, back from his stint with the Islanders, made 37 saves, but it just wasn't enough. And I'll tell you, Hershey and the Islanders this year played 6 games, and 4 of the 6 went to overtime. Game winner scored by Cody Clark 2 minutes and 13 seconds into overtime. So that was a definite disappointment for the Islanders there. And then on Tuesday, the Islanders end up falling again. So a rough 3 days for the Bridgeport Islanders as they drop 3 games in a row and end up falling further behind in that tough race for the final playoff spot in the AHL. And again, your team was doing so well, and they end up coming short. Chris Terry still leading Bridgeport with 25 goals and 51 points. Otto Koivula, 42 points. Andy Andreoff, 39. Arno Durando, 37. And then Simon Holmstrom with 35 points. As far as defensemen go, Parker Wotherspoon now again the top scorer among defensemen with 3 goals and 20 points. Grant Hutton has 19, but of course Hutton now up with the Islanders. Meanwhile, the goaltending after that poor performance, Jakob Skarek, his goals against average now at 3.22, the save percentage 899, although it's still above 500 at 16, 13, and 4. Corey Schneider at 273 goals against average and 920 save percentage. He is 10, 10, and 4 on the year. So a rough few days for the Bridgeport Islanders. They lose 4-3, by the way, on last night to Hershey in OT. So kind of a frustrating 0-1-2 span, basically, and the Islanders end up falling further out of playoff contention as of right now. We look ahead at the schedule and a busy weekend ahead and pretty much all must-win games for Bridgeport right now. Friday, they are at home against the Providence Bruins. That's a 7 o'clock Eastern time start. Saturday, a 7 o'clock or 7:05, I should say, start at the Providence Bruins. And then Sunday, for a 3 o'clock matinee, the Islanders return home to face the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Excuse me. So, Islanders in need of a very big weekend if they hope to get back into the playoff hunt, and it is not going to be all that easy. Right now, Wilkes-Barre Scranton, a 523 point percentage. The Islanders at 500. Not impossible to get back into it. And actually, Hartford, 524, not that far ahead of them either. But Bridgeport's going to need to do some damage, to say the least, coming up. Now, the good news is, Sunday you're playing Lehigh Valley. Lehigh Valley right now, kind of bringing it up the rear. They are in last place in the division. So that may help Providence, however, in third place. They are a solid team. And you get, I would say, at least 3 points out of a possible 4 against Providence coming up in this weekend's action. So hopefully the Bridgeport Islanders can rebound and get back into the swing of things. We shall see. But again, we do our farm report every Wednesday here on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Occasionally we'll move it to Thursday if the schedule is busy, but usually the Wednesday show is our farm report. So join us to talk all things Bridgeport every Wednesday here on the Locked On Islanders podcast. When we come back, we have our Islanders birthday of the day, a player from the late 90s who was a physical forward. See if you can guess who that is as we relive one of his better games with the Islanders. All that and more still to come on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed, durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else, Shady Rays' insane protection program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use code LOCKEDON to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. Today's episode is also brought to you by Built Bar. Have you tried the Built Bar Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best-tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallow. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And like all Built Bars, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. And Puffs are a fan favorite. And when you hear the flavors, you'll understand why, like gummy, cinnamony, churro, coconut marshmallow. My personal favorite is the banana cream pie. So good, they will be your new favorite. And most Built Bars contain just 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, but pack 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first. Then they figure out how to make it healthy, and I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. We are a day late on this one, but we want to wish a very happy 55th birthday to former Islanders winger Brent Hughes, the native of New Westminster, British Columbia. Did not get drafted, came up with the old original Winnipeg Jets in 1988-89 after playing for the New Westminster Bruins in the Western Hockey League for junior, went on to the Boston Bruins, the Buffalo Sabres, and then joined the Islanders for the 1996-97 season. He played 51 games for the Isles, scored 7 goals, 10 points, and had 57 penalty minutes. The Islanders were his last NHL stop, ended up playing in the IHL, first with the Houston Aeros, then the Utah Grizzlies, before retiring after the 98-99 season. Went on to coach in juniors and the minors in the 2000s, last coaching with the Corpus Christi Ice Rays of the NAHL in 2010, 2011. In his NHL career, Brent Hughes, who was 5'11", 180, but wasn't afraid to get physical. He had 357 NHL games, 41 goals, 80 points, and yes, 831 penalty minutes. You could add 29 playoff games, 4 goals, 5 points, and 53 penalty minutes in those. We're going to go back and look at one of Brent Hughes' better games with the Islanders. Going back to the Fisherman jersey days, March 29th, 1997, a home game at the old Nassau Coliseum. The Islanders facing the Boston Bruins. Paxton Schaefer, the goalie for Boston, as Tommy Salo was the goalie for the Islanders. And the Islanders got off to a good start in the first period. Brian Smolinski scoring just a minute 24 into the game, his 23rd. Robert Reichel and Kenny Janssen the assist, and it's 1-0 Islanders. Less than 2 minutes later, our Islanders' birthday of the day, Brent Hughes scores an unassisted goal at 3:15, and the Islanders lead 2-0. Then Randy Wood makes it 3-0 Isles. His fifth. Dave McElwain and Doug Hooter with the assist at 9:46. Brian Smolinski scores his second of the game. 24th of the year, Ziggy Palffy, Robert Reichel with the helpers at 15:11, 4-0 Islanders. Anson Carter, a familiar face on Islanders broadcast, he got a goal for Boston to get the Bruins into the game, his ninth from Bob Beers and Jason Allison at 18:54, 4-1 Islanders after one. And it's the Ziggy Palffy show. Palffy on the power play, his 42nd of the year from Rob Reichel and Brian Bard at 6:51. Palffy, his 43rd from Dennis Vasky and Reichel at 10:20. Travis Green, his 21st from Todd Bertuzzi and Scott Chance at 18:52. And then Palffy complete hat trick, his 44th from Smolinski and Green at 19:48. That made it 8-1 Islanders after 2 periods. Troy Millette scores for Boston, his 6th from Anson Carter and Jason Allison in the 3rd. But for the Islanders, a heady 8-2 win in this game. Tommy Salo, the win. He made 16 saves. Eric Fischel also played, stopped 9 of the 10 shots he faced in the game. Islanders cruising to this 8-2 win. For Brent Hughes, our Islanders' birthday of the day, the goal, he was a +1, and he scored on his only shot of the day. So, again, a very happy 55th birthday to Brent Hughes. His birthday was Tuesday. Brent Hughes is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Wanted to talk a little bit about Noah Dobson. You know, Dobson in this game had a very mixed performance. You look at it on paper, you look at the box score, 2 assists, and that's a positive. Love the play he made in the closing seconds when it looked like the Dallas Stars had an empty net goal just waiting for them. And Dobson made the stop, broke up a very good scoring chance, and gave the Islanders at least a glimmer of hope in the closing minute of the game to come back down the ice and try to score one more time. And yet it was Dobson who had a giveaway on what turned out to be this game-winning shorthanded goal that Radek Fox scored midway through the second period. It was a giveaway at the Dallas blue line where Dobson lost the puck. The Islanders were caught up ice. Luke Glendening sets up Foxa and leads the goal. And I think realistically, that's Noah Dobson and his season in a nutshell. With puck, more confidence. Occasionally, he's learning. He's getting back and making more plays on defense. But every once in a while, he sort of falls back on that shaky play that ends up costing the Islanders a goal. So Dobson, one of those players is definitely moving in the right direction. He has improved so much over the course of the season, and yet still learning. And that's what young players tend to do. And for better or for worse, right now the Islanders should be going with more of those young players because the playoffs not going to happen, at least not this year, for the New York Islanders. All right, we will be back tomorrow as we will hopefully have an update on Ilya Sorokin and whether or not he'll be ready to play in the game tomorrow. He did serve as the backup to Semyon Varlamov, but we'll see whether he can play on Friday. We'll reassess the playoff picture and have a little bit more on where the Islanders are as we head into the final few weeks of this season. So, lots to talk about. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Host Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.